Welcome to The Dating Lab, the podcast that makes midlife dating simpler, saner, and maybe, hopefully, a little less overwhelming. I'm your host, Alyssa Dineen, and each week we'll break down one real dating challenge that adults 45 plus face today. From confusing apps and unclear profiles to first date nerves and slow fade messages. And you'll walk away with at least one practical tool you can use immediately to date with more confidence, clarity, and momentum. Think of this as your bi-weekly place to experiment, learn something new, and hopefully try something new without the pressure. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dating Lab. I am really excited to have my guest here, Natasha Chandel. She is an Indian, Canadian, American writer, actress, comedian, and dating expert. And she has appeared on shows like The Mindy Project and has toured with Zarna Garg, which I just learned that is so cool. And as a headliner herself, she hosted the very popular podcast, Candid, which is how we met. I was on her podcast many years ago. I think it was like 5 years ago, maybe 6.
Yeah, it's been a while. You were in the early days.
And Natasha is super candid and smart and great at talking about modern dating dynamics without sugarcoating them. So I am really excited to get into it with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to know, what was it about your dating experiences that led you to start your own dating podcast?
Oh my gosh, I was a mess. I dated all the wrong people. I went from being a super monogamist. I mean, I've always been monogamous, but I mean, I was a super relationship girl. So I fell into like my first relationship when I was 16, and I was in these like long back-to-back relationships, and then ended up in an abusive relationship. And then I kind of went the other way where I was like, oh, you can't beat them, join them. And I never cheated, but I became a commitment phobe. And so I just started keeping everybody at arm's length. And as a result of that, choosing people that would, allow me to continue that narrative and be free and be independent, because they weren't the type of people you would commit to. And I was just in this really bad pattern for a long time, and did a lot of therapy through it, and kind of came out on the other side, which I then called a reformed commitment phobe. And so I started Kinda Dating as a podcast to talk about commitment phobia, because I think that's kind of the most frequent problem anybody complains about, is they can't get anybody to commit. So it was called Kinda Dating because nobody says they're in a relationship anymore. And it was from the point of view of a reformed commitment phobe who had done the work, but I wanted to tell people the stuff I wish somebody told me when I was younger. People sugar-coated things for me for a long time, and then later they were like, well, yeah, this was the truth. I'm like, why didn't you just tell me that when I was going through it? Like, why? I appreciate the yes manning and supportive friends, but also just be honest.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to be that person that could, as a comedian, be able to talk about dating from a lighthearted point of view, but also get deep. So that's kind of where the podcast was born.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was kind of where it originated, was the commitment phobe, which I guess you probably, I mean, maybe you were in situationships before that was even a term.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like hanging out, or not even, you know what I mean? Like, we had all kinds of terms that I used to call it a flex on the podcast. So it's a very Canadian term, but it was like a flexible relationship almost.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Was like, oh, this person was just like a flex.
Right. Oh, that's so funny. And then what started shifting once you started talking about it? Do you feel like you got better about, or were you more open to commitment, I guess?
For sure. I mean, by the time I had done the podcast, when I started it, I was actually in like my first more serious adult relationship after that long stretch of, commitment phobia. And ironically, 4 episodes into the podcast, he cheated on me. And I thought that was going to be like the person, like we had moved in together. It was the first person my parents had met, and it was like a big thing. And then he cheated on me 4 episodes into the podcast. And so then I just started pivoting to being like, all right, well, now I just got to talk about what's really happening. And so we did an episode called like How to Heal from a Breakup. That was episode 4. And
Mm,
it was kind of documenting my experience with a therapist as the guest. And it, was just catching a lot of steam.
yeah.
It was a point where I was starting to make the turn, but not always still making the right decisions. But I had definitely stopped wanting the same. I didn't want to be with like commitment phobes. It doesn't mean I didn't make
Right.
the right decisions, but the podcast
Yeah.
held me very accountable.
Yeah, I
So,
bet. I bet.
and I always
Hmm.
said the podcast was never about me. I was just kind of like the through line through a lot of these episodes, but we had these great
Hmm.
guests that would talk about, a very evergreen topic. And then I could frame and use myself as kind of a guinea pig for people to latch onto, to like see themselves in, hopefully,
Got
and
it.
then
Got
yeah,
it.
so it was a journey, which is why when
Yeah,
we retired the podcast last year, and this, I got married, which was a huge
I
deal.
know.
Like
I
I
so
got a
yeah.
lot
So
of
we have to
messages.
hear about how you met how you met your
Yeah,
husband. And I know it was online.
yeah, yeah,
And I actually heard in one of your episodes you said it's the kind of person that I never would have met if it weren't for online dating, right? You guys met on
yeah.
Hinge, is that
We
right?
met on
And
Hinge. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the same with my partner. We never would have met otherwise. Like there would have been no different neighborhoods, different lifestyles, different, he traveled all the time. So I really that resonated because I was like, there's no way we would have ever met if it weren't for dating apps.
Yeah, and
So
how did you
yeah.
guys so which one did you meet on?
We met on Tinder 9 years ago. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
It was sort of like
no,
when
Tinder
Tinder
before
had
it
like,
was like it
yeah,
turned
it
into
kind of had like a
Tinder.
little phase where people were
Yeah.
actually meeting people on
Yes.
there for like and getting married. So we kind of caught it in that window.
You're the
But yeah,
second
I
person I
know.
met that another girl I met, she met her husband 10 years ago on Tinder. And I was like, oh, this is like early Tinder days before it turned into kind of the
Yeah,
cesspool that it became for a little while.
exactly, exactly. I think it was like it started as a hookup app, and then I think it went through a little bit of a upturn, with people actually meeting, and then it took a big downturn for a
Yeah.
while. But I do,
Wow.
it's funny because as a dating coach now, I've been hearing people now, I'm hearing little snippets of people saying like, yeah, I think I'm going to try Tinder actually. So it might be having a little bit of a
Come back.
surge.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
yeah, so you guys met on Hinge. So tell us about that.
Yeah, we met on Hinge 3 weeks before the lockdowns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's very easy to remember because of the time period of the lockdown, but our third date was supposed to be a Saturday, and they announced lockdown on Thursday. So I was just like, want to come over? And then he just like never left. But
Wow.
it was just, we always say this, like, it was definitely some kind of divine timing for sure, but it was also just luck that two strangers who didn't know anything about each other could lock down together. And lockdown, you know how LA was a little bit more fluid over here, so you could go out. Like it wasn't
Right.
like you were trapped inside, like New York
Yeah.
or Europe
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
So we were together, I would say 4 or 5 days a week, and then we'd take like a day or two off and then go back. But we were like in a pod, like we were food, prepared
Right.
food.
Right.
And like just the fact that two people could actually get along who've never met each other before, that I don't know, like that to me is just luck. But also hopefully like the
Yeah.
good skills that we had both learned from past relationships and from me for doing this podcast. But we had a talk the first weekend of the lockdown that we locked down together,
Hmm.
and we were both like, hey, for safety, is it okay if it's just us? Because, at the time,
Yeah.
everybody was so scared, which simplified some of it, right? Like in a normal world, we always talk about we probably would have been dating other people, and we probably might have taken a little bit longer to have become
Yeah. It fast
exclusive,
forwards things.
but
Yeah.
we
It kind of
became
fast forwarded
exclusive right
everything.
away just for like safety. So, but we didn't
Right.
become official for like 6 months, but we knew nobody, the other weren't seeing anybody else, but we were still like exploring each other and like, is this what we want? So it
Okay.
definitely sped certain things up, but also allowed us to like focus. And, and then, yeah, we got married a year and a half ago, which was never on my radar. If
Wow, I
anybody
can't believe
heard
that
the
was already a year and
podcast,
a half ago.
yeah,
I can't believe that was already that long ago. It feels
yeah,
like it just happened.
I know, I know.
Yeah. And you kept that really under wraps, it sounds like. Because I thought
Well,
I
it's
was like, oh, I missed something here because I can't believe Natasha's now married. But you said you kind of didn't really talk about it much on Instagram, at least. Is
I
that
didn't
right?
talk about it on social media, but I talked about it all the time on the podcast. So all
Okay.
podcast listeners knew about him. They knew that we were together. They knew the whole story. I'm pretty sure he was even a guest on one of the episodes of the podcast when we
Oh,
were dating. So, but yes, I didn't talk about it on social media. And then I just pulled like an Issa Rae. Issa Rae did the same thing. She was apparently with her partner for like 5 or 7 years, and then they just got married and posted a marriage picture. So
right,
that's what we
right.
did, and everybody
Okay.
like freaked out, and they were just like, "What?" I was like, "There you go."
Your wedding looked so, just so fun and so cool. And I loved how you had the different like cultures in it and both were represented. It's just, yeah, it was so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I always joke it's the dream wedding I never wanted. So,
Did you really not? You were really like not that you
girl,
that
I
was not your
never
fantasy?
wanted to get married. I mean, you could do a super cut on the podcast of how many times I said I wouldn't get married. So when we got engaged, I had to
That's
do
so
an
funny.
atonement episode where I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm doing this thing that I said I would never do. But
Right.
part of it was also for, growth and maturity is realizing it's not
Hmm.
all like you don't have to be fixed to the ideas that you thought were right for you. And
Hmm.
part of it was he always wanted to get married, and he'll always say like, "Oh, it was for my parents." I'm like, "Mm-hmm." But all my friends are like, "Tash, she's always said it to you." I just like didn't wasn't even paying attention because it was like so not on my radar. But when it finally came to this time, it was kind of like if this was reversed and a woman said to a man, "I really want to get married," and he said, "But I'm with you. I'm not with anybody else. I don't want to be with anybody else. Like, why isn't that enough?" We would have turned to him and said, "Hey, don't be a jerk. Like, just marry
Hmm.
her." And then I
Right.
realized, like, that's this, but roles reversed. So I can't
Yeah.
have a double standard, right? Like, I was
Right.
like, this is
Right.
something he wants.
Yeah.
I it's like I don't care either way. I never wanted it, but like if this is what
Right.
makes him happy, then like great. And then I
That's
was
so
like, well, if
beautiful.
I do something, I'm going to do it really well. Which
Right.
is
Right.
why this wedding, I always say it's this dream wedding I never wanted. Like there were all these questions being asked of me that I had no answers to because I've never thought about it. I was like,
Right.
I
Right.
don't know about flowers and the colors I want
Hmm.
and like I don't know anything about
And there's some
centerpiece
women who have been literally thinking about every detail since they were
their whole
like,
life. That's my
12 years
friends.
old or something.
All
Really?
my
Yeah.
friends. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So for me, it was like a
That was
very
definitely not me either. My ex-husband actually planned our wedding, basically. I just bought my dress.
hilarious. Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway, yeah.
I love it.
So did your husband, on that note, was he into the planning of it?
Not at all. I
Okay.
was like, you
Okay.
step off because you don't know.
Okay.
I was a
Okay.
producer, so I'm
Oh,
definitely
right.
like very
Yes.
type A. I'm like, you don't
Oh,
know colors, you don't know whatever. Also, the
oh
thing
my
is,
God.
he wanted an Indian wedding. I didn't even want an
Oh,
Indian wedding. I was like, you don't
oh.
understand what you're asking. But
Well, you seem so fun, and I
it was
mean, just
amazing.
every time I mean, so colorful and so like just such cool traditions, and I don't
Yeah.
blame him.
Yeah. Well,
I would
that's
have wanted the
why
same.
but it
Yeah.
was just like we did an Indian wedding in Spain where he's from so that he could have like all his family and friends there. Cause again, this is like a kind of wedding he wanted. So,
Right,
but
right.
it was hard doing a wedding in a country that didn't have an infrastructure for Indian
For big
weddings.
weddings. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Got it.
So, but it
Okay.
worked out.
Yeah, yeah, as a producer, I'm sure that wedding like was yeah, ran like clockwork. Okay, so I have a few other dating related questions that I want to get to with you because I'm sure you have thoughts on these. So, how do you feel about the ick?
Oh my
Do you
gosh.
think do you think that that's a real thing? And then I'm
Oh,
going to
the
tell you my thoughts
such a
too.
real thing. It is
Okay.
such a real thing. I have definitely was the queen of the ick. I have definitely broken up with people because something came up that I should not have harped on, but I was harping on. But I also think the ick is telling you something deeper, right? I broke up with somebody because I saw a picture of them doing, I can't remember now, taekwondo or something, but their posture was really, really bad. And it got me so turned off. I was like, ew, why is your posture like that? And then I was just like, couldn't get it out of my head. And it had just started eating away at the way I was feeling. But the truth
Hmm.
is, it was coming for a long time of me feeling like I'm not sure this is the right fit. And so you're almost like looking for an excuse, right?
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times the ick is like with somebody where there isn't a big problem. It's easy to break up with somebody that does something overtly bad or
Hmm.
disgusting or whatever. But the ick is like, it's just like nobody can, you can't compete with it. You can't justify. It's just this like random inside thing. I'm like, you don't understand how I feel. I just feel this ick,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Right.
like
Right.
you can
Right.
convince me that this isn't a thing that should turn me off.
Do you think that there's like levels of ick though? Like the posture thing I get, like, because that actually,
But
that
it's
would be
so
really hard to change. And that's only going to get
But the
worse over
person had
time.
great posture in regular life. It was just for me, and this
Oh,
is this is just me being a
interesting. Okay.
jerk, okay? This was me being a jerk when I was younger. But it was because to me, I was like, well, this person's like not athletic. And it just, but I was just harping on something that wasn't necessary to
Yeah.
harp on because the truth is I wasn't feeling like this
Yeah.
was a
Right.
fit for me,
Right.
and I had no reason because the person was really good. And so then I found this random thing to hold on to be able to
Yeah.
justify
Breaking
why
it
I
off.
had to
Yeah.
just like end this with this person. Of course, I didn't tell him it was because of that, but in my head, I was like, see, this is the justification. So I think we just
Right.
use the ick as the excuse. But there's definitely spectrums of the ick, right? But I
That's
will
what
say
I was
when you love
thinking too.
someone, like my husband does gross shit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like all guys, like men are gross at
Yeah.
times. And like and he does gross things, but I love the hell out of him
Then
for
it really is, it is kind of a more of a chemistry thing, right? It's like, I don't mind the weird things you do, but I mind the weird things he does. Yeah.
so
Like I
true.
feel like it's just what you can live with and what doesn't, yeah, turn you off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, next question is, so it's interesting that, okay, that you talk about your commitment phobia because, oftentimes I feel like, especially in modern dating, and what are your thoughts on this? That mostly is, we attribute that to a lot of the men in male female dating situations. We think the men are the ones that are commitment phobic, but I do feel like there are, a lot of women. Do you? And I feel like there's like almost like this: the more aloof and standoffish the men become, the more standoffish and aloof the women become, and I feel like it's like this kind of vicious circle. But what are your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, look, the reason I started kind of dating and talked about it from a female perspective is because I believe females are and women are as much commitment phobes as men are. Men are just in a different way. But remember that it takes two people to be in a relationship. If one person is behaving like the commitment phobe by not actually committing, the other person is choosing the commitment phobe knowing better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you know
Yes.
better, it means you're making a somewhere a concerted decision, right? Like for me, I
Right.
noticed it in things like I was known for long distance relationships. And I kept dating people
Mm-hmm.
that were in different states that I would never in my life move to. I had a 10-year on and off thing with a guy in Australia. Like
Wow. Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
I would never in my
Yeah.
life move there. And I've gone to visit
Right.
it and whenever I was like this
Right.
small town place, I was like, absolutely not. But what did it allow me when I did a lot of therapy and I did a lot of introspection is, well, those long distance relationships allowed me to keep people at bay and like have my independence, but like feel like I was in a relationship, but I wasn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we had no
Yes.
end goal. You can be in a long distance relationship and it's a real relationship if you have an end goal, but we never had
Yeah.
an end goal because nobody wanted to move to the other place. And that's a
Yeah.
form of commitment phobia, right? Somebody like me who is such a smart person to keep dating these like really unavailable guys or guys who would like drop these big bombs on me about the kind of person they were as a toxic
Right.
human, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, he has potential, I'll change it. Like that's commitment phobia,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
when you finally come out of that, you start realizing, like, when I actually got out of that phase and I got turned off by anybody that was even remotely like not a feasible option, I noticed it
Mhm.
even more. I was like, oh, yeah, I was like a massive commitment phobe. I was just dating people I shouldn't have been dating. And so
Right.
that's where I really believe that women are also like, we can't just keep saying it's all on men. Like they're not holding a gun to our head and being like, be in a relationship
Yeah.
with us. Like we're making choices and we are
Yeah.
not responsible for anybody else but ourselves. And so
Hmm.
you're the only constant in your life. So if your
Yeah.
relationships aren't working out over and over and you can't change anybody else, the only control you have is over yourself. And maybe we have to look at the choices we make and the history we have and our perspective and all of it combined to see what role are we playing in it.
Right. Right. Yes. That is so true. That's really well said. If you've been telling yourself you just need to get back into working out, but cannot figure out where an hour free time is supposed to magically come from, this is for you. You need to listen. My friend Carly Fouth, founder of Fit Fun Carly and the Fit in Fitness Method, and also a guest on this podcast, created something called the 15-Minute Club. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a 6-week program built around short, effective workouts and the mindset that helps you build strength, feel better in your body, and stay consistent without rearranging your entire life. This isn't about crushing yourself at the gym. It's about smart movement, encouragement, and a plan that actually fits into real schedules. Whether you're juggling work, family, recovery, or just feeling stuck, you get live coaching, on-demand workouts, and a supportive community to keep you going. All designed around that idea that 15 minutes truly matters. The next session starts April 6th, and to join the waitlist, head to www.fitfuncarly.com/the 15-minute club, and early birds receive $20 off. So check it out. Okay, so well, on that note, so as far as, gender norms go, who should follow up after a first date?
I mean, I am very I'm not gonna lie about it. I'm super about like the gender norms. Like I've never asked a guy on a date. I'm like, you better ask me out. Look, I don't think that there should be a power dynamic. I think
Mm-hmm.
in healthy relationships and when you meet somebody that you just vibe with, there's no power dynamic to it. That said,
Yeah,
I do think,
agreed.
unfortunately, men have been hardwired to believe that what they value the thing that they have earned,
Mm-hmm.
and if you think about like men have been trained in this work setting, right? Why do they work really hard at their jobs and whatever, and they value their money so much because they've earned it. And so it's kind of the same thing in a sense with women, men like to earn
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
their keep
Yeah.
in a way. So I feel like while I don't think that there should be a power dynamic, and if you feel like, hey, I just want to like say thanks, I always said thanks to them after dates. Like I would text somebody and I didn't say, hey, let's do it again, but I would just say, hey, thank you so much. It was really great meeting you. Hope you have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't wait.
Yeah.
I didn't need anybody to say anything to me. That was just me
Right.
saying thank you. And then if they followed up, great. And if they didn't,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
do
Right.
think like, a guy taking that step is important for the
Mm-hmm.
follow-up and like especially in those early stages because it's just like
Yeah.
a mental thing for them to like feel like they earned it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, on this note, I really feel like the man should at least plan the first few dates too.
yeah.
Like plan
Yeah,
out
and
what you,
same thing with like the paying of it. I
yeah.
think I've always offered. I know some women don't, and we've had,
Mm-hmm.
lots of conversations on the podcast about that too. I always offer and I watch and observe how it makes me feel if somebody lets me pay or if
Mm-hmm.
they handle it themselves. And, I will say the ones who let me pay on the first date didn't get another one after that. Not because it was about the money. I had no problem in paying. It was just like it showed me something right in the beginning that maybe they didn't feel that this was an investment that was worth it
Mm-hmm.
for them. Because when it comes like once I was with my husband after like a month, we started going very naturally like, hey, you get this dinner, the next one I would get, then you would get this
Right.
one. So it wasn't like going Dutch. It was just, and it's not like keeping penny
Yeah.
tally. But it was just like, all right, you got this one, I'll get this one. You got this time groceries, I'll get groceries this time. So that it would just felt like an equal partnership. But in the beginning, I agree that I think, the guy should lead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like that's pretty much across all the different generations. Because I've asked girls in their or women in their early 20s to mid 20s, they say the same thing. Of course, like the older generations, like yeah, that
And again, I
similar.
think it's like the stuff we're
Yeah.
hardwired for, right? Like men are
Hmm.
hardwired to value the things that they've earned.
Hmm.
And if they think about it like a stock market, you know, you don't mind dropping $1,000 in a stock that you know is gonna give you 20K in a year,
Hmm.
right? But you're not gonna do it if you don't think that the stock is worth it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I kind of like see it is did they think that this was a worthy investment for them?
Right. Right. That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel like guys are like all about like just money and numbers in their heads. So
I mean, yeah, it's sad but true, I think.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so what is one belief about love that you've had to unlearn?
unlearn. That's a really good question. I don't know if I had. I think I will admit the area I am personally always working on and is that I have a hard time as somebody who's very practical to say I fully trust anybody. Like, I guess if you say you really love somebody, you trust them. And like, I do, but I'm also like, I don't know, we're also human and like things can happen. And it doesn't mean I walk around with any kind of worry, but I'm also like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anything's
yeah,
possible. Like I always just like mentally keep this part of my brain a little open of like
yeah,
anything
yeah.
could happen and I'm trying to be better about that. And
Well, I think
also,
of that as being a realist, but maybe some
yeah,
people think of that as being pessimistic. But I don't
but
know.
I
Yeah.
think like men get I've had that as a constant in relationships, where men get like upset about it because they're like, you don't
Mhm.
trust me. And I'm like, it's not that I don't trust you. I'm just saying you don't know what happens in life. You don't know what situation
Yeah.
you're in that makes somebody act away, right? Like we don't predict the future. So how can I just say like a blindly trust? Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only
Yeah.
person I blindly trust is my mom.
Right, right.
That's it.
And are you able to like do you tell your husband that and is he like, "What?"
I mean, I have in the past, and I've like learned to not say that, because
Yeah.
I'm like, right, this hurts
But
his feelings.
I'm with you. I mean, I haven't
Yeah,
actually said the words out loud to my partner, but it happened to my mom in both of her marriages, and that's why she's not remarried again. And both times she thought, it was it. It was great,
yeah,
and so I feel like you never know. I agree with you.
yeah. And
Like
look,
you just
we
have to
we got
trust.
a we got a prenup and all, and people were just like, my even my brother was like, "Why are you being so negative?" And I said, "I actually think this is the most romantic thing that a couple can do because, firstly, we have to." I'm very practical. So with a prenup, like you have to lay out legally in front of lawyers all your assets and debt and everything. So it's like and if you don't, it's perjury. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you are completely transparent before you two people come together, and then you have to talk about like the most random scenarios that could potentially happen to you. Like, what if I moved to, he's from Spain. It's like, what if I moved to Spain for his job and then I get disabled? And
Right,
then
right.
we get a divorce 10 years later. How much do you get? Like, you come up with the most
Mm-hmm.
weird scenarios, but when you are able to work through that together and be kind and respectful during that process, to
Yeah.
me, it showed so much more that it got us even closer together because we both realized like we're not being dicks to each other. We
Right,
were
right.
we were
Yeah.
really
And you have
like,
to talk through all of that.
yeah, it
That's
was like, well, this
good.
feels
Yeah.
fair. How about this? And da da
Mm-hmm.
da. And now like we don't have to worry about anything because it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
That
if
is
something
actually
doesn't work
very,
out, we're
very,
like, hey, this is like we're set.
yeah, it's so smart. I mean, they say actually everybody should do that basically, right? Isn't that what,
Yeah,
yeah.
but people have such a hard time like being open and transparent with their partners, and I understand that it's a very uncomfortable thing to talk about finances and stuff like that, but it is also like if you trust your partner, you should see how they treat you. Like how
Mm-hmm.
would they treat you
Mm-hmm.
down the line? Like what do they, again, what do they believe about you as a human being if you weren't together?
Right, right.
So,
Yes.
I think there's a lot of like nuance to it that people, just get weirded out about because they're like, well, I'm not going to get any money. And I'm like,
Yeah. Right, right.
yeah,
No, that is really, yeah. It sounds like you took all the right steps.
we tried. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So, last question. If you could outlaw one dating behavior tomorrow, what would it be? Or better
Ooh,
yet, today.
oh,
Yeah.
if I could outlaw one dating behavior, what would it be? I think I would outlaw like waiting more than an hour to text somebody back. And not because like
Interesting.
you're not, if you're truly busy, it's a different thing. But I think a lot of people like are playing the game, where
Mm-hmm.
they play
Mm-hmm.
this game that, well, I don't want to show my interest. If I text you
Mm-hmm.
fast, it means something more than it does. That we've
Right.
all done. I was notorious for this. And it was like a silly shift that I had to make to be like, wait, nobody's taking anything from me
Mm-hmm.
by just communicating when I want and need, and not
Right.
not holding my worth to that. Like that small behavior holds so much weight for us that I think it's such an early sign of commitment phobia where we're just like establishing power dynamics based off of our behavior. And we're not behaving in
Mm-hmm.
our authentic and true self because we're like, oh, I'm giving away my power by showing interest. And
Right.
and it's like you might as well just be yourself. If that person accepts the rose, great. And if they don't,
Oh,
like better to know faster and be like, bye-bye, and not hold your self-worth to that. So I would just love
exactly.
for us to like just be ourselves
A
and like
hundred
text when
percent.
you want and like not
Yes. Yeah.
not attribute it like our self-worth to that.
Yeah. Agree. I could not agree more. I think that is so true because if you're authentically yourself and it turns someone off, then they're not your person, you
And it's
know?
just better to know
So,
sooner than later.
yeah. And know within, the first week of dating rather than the first, 3 months of dating.
Yep.
But yeah, I fully agree. That's a good one. That's a good one. I
I'm
kind of
sure
always
so
assume
random.
like people are, I always assume people are going to say ghosting, which I think has just become so normalized that maybe it doesn't even really, I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it
it's
still
funny. I
hurts,
mean,
but
I also was like notorious for ghosting people. I used to say that I didn't think ghosting was like that big a deal. I think the problem is that we we give too much of our like self-worth in these early phases of a relationship. Like, who cares that this person ghosted you? Who are they in
Mhm.
your life? Like, who
Yeah,
were they a day before
Yeah.
you met them. They were nobody. They were strangers. Like you maybe if you dated somebody for a month, you know, met them, let's say if on a good day, you know, a good week, like once a week for 4 weeks, maybe 2, 3 hours a
Hmm.
day in that day, count that up 3 times 4, 12 hours is how much you've like known this person in your life and they disappeared
Right.
on you and you're like, oh my God. And I'm like,
Yeah.
might say a little bit more about you, you know, just like, who cares? If
That's an
now,
interesting way to look at it, actually. Yeah.
like, oh, this happened to a friend, a girlfriend of 7 years ended their relationship by ghosting him,
Oh my
and they were
God.
living
That's
together.
crazy.
And
Oh
that
my,
to me was that not okay. But on
yeah,
a
that's
regular day,
crazy.
I'm just like, if somebody ghosts you, again, it's information. It's information that that person's not available. They don't know how to communicate. They're not there. All the things that
Yeah.
I was when I was unable to, like when I've ghosted certain people, it was because like I just didn't have the balls to tell them how I was feeling at the time, or I just didn't
Hmm.
feel like getting in a conversation and a back and forth, or I thought they were kind of crazy. And I was like, I don't even want to engage this
Yeah.
person anymore because like I learned what I need to know and I'm good. Whatever it is, it's a point that that person's like not a fit.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I just think that
Yeah.
in our early phases, we just put too much weight into people.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
Luis was,
Yeah, I hear what you're
I
saying.
married Luis, but like I didn't even put that much weight into him until like 6 months when we talked about like making it official.
Right, right, right.
You know, and I think we're just always like, especially, you know, women, sadly we've been trained to be like, well, this could be your future husband. So and our first date we're
Yeah.
going out with a guy and we're like, I could be Mrs. Natasha Thomas. What does that sound
Yeah.
like? Yeah, he could, you know,
Yes.
his hair and his hair with my eyes could look like really great babies, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're going in places that like we don't need to go with a
I know, I
stranger.
know.
He could be a psycho. He
Exactly.
could be Ted
Yeah.
Bundy. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Well, I mean, what I say to my clients is all you have to decide on the first date is whether you want to go on a second date. You don't need to decide whether they're going to be your new partner and envision yourself walking down the aisle and, all the things. Like, it's literally just, do I want to spend another hour or two with this person? That's it.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing. And so then if somebody were to ghost you, you haven't held on to any story that just got broken.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
and
like,
that's exactly it. That's what people are getting upset about is because they attached a story to that person and what future they might have. And then
yeah,
I feel like that's what people are getting upset about. Yeah. Ugh, fantasy versions of dating. That's what
I
really
know.
does us all in, I think,
It's true.
just trying to just take it as it comes you know, and look at it at face value and nothing more and nothing less, I think
And
that's,
it's a constant like talking with yourself to like stop the additional thoughts that come in and just being present and live in the moment and know no moment before that existed, no moment after exists. It's just here and now. And did this feel good? Great. Next moment, did that feel good? Cool.
mm-hmm,
Did the
mm-hmm,
next one feel good? No? Okay, evaluate. Like it doesn't have to
right.
be like in this present moment I'm thinking about, you know, 20 years from now.
Yeah, no, it's great advice. Yeah. Just, I mean, well, for everything in life, but definitely in
Yeah,
dating, like live in the moment. Yeah.
totally.
And what's in front of you right now. And
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you. It was a good note to end on, actually.
Yay, thank you for
But it
having
was
me.
so nice to have you here. And definitely people should follow you on Instagram and TikTok too. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm at Natasha Chandel on Instagram and Facebook, and Natasha.Chandel on TikTok.
Okay,
And
great.
if you want to go back and listen, there are 300 episodes of Kind of Dating.
Yeah, kind of
And
dating.
so you
It's
can,
so good. Yeah, I just listened to a few the other day and I was like, ah, yeah.
no, it's
But
a good
we'll
time.
be looking forward to maybe a potential new podcast from
Yeah,
Natasha. So
I hope
we'll
so.
see. Yeah. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Thanks for listening to the Dating Lab. If today's episode gave you something to think about, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And if you want more dating guidance, you can find me on Instagram or at stylemyprofile.nyc.com. Until next time, remember, dating is a process, not a verdict. You're doing better than you think.